Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dream Careers podcast. My name is Craig, your host, and in today's episode, we're going to be diving into a topic that's been a game changer for my career and can be for yours as well. This episode is called The Power of Saying No. Now, I know it might sound counterintuitive, especially in a world where we're constantly taught to say yes to every opportunity, every project, every request. And after all, who doesn't want to be seen as eager, as driven, and willing to help? But here's the honest truth. Saying yes to everything can actually be the thing that holds you back in your career. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about why learning to say no is one of the most powerful career moves you can make. I'll share why setting boundaries is key to your success and how no in the right moments can actually free you up for more meaningful opportunities. So grab a pen, grab some paper, because you're going to want to take some notes, and let's get onto it. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do we say yes to everything in the first place? Well, there's societal pressure, isn't there? We've been conditioned to believe that saying yes means that we're committed, that we're team players, that we're dependable. And at first, that may seem like a good thing, right? But here's the problem. When you say yes to everything, you end up saying no to yourself. Think about it. How many times have you agreed to take on a project or responsibility that you actually didn't have the time or energy for? Maybe you said yes to help a colleague, or maybe you took on extra tasks because you didn't want to disappoint anyone. But in doing so, you stretched yourself so thin that you ended up burnt out, or worse, you did a poor job because your focus was divided. Here's the reality. When you're constantly saying yes to everyone else, you're saying no to your own goals, your own well-being, and your own success. And in a career where time and energy are limited resources, that's a super dangerous game to play. Now, you might be thinking, but Craig, if I say no, won't I look bad? Won't people think that I'm lazy or unhelpful? And trust me, I get it. There's this fear that saying no will damage your reputation or make people think less of you. But let me tell you something. Saying no isn't about being lazy. It's about being strategic. The truth is, successful people don't get ahead by saying yes to everything. They get ahead by saying no to the distractions, the busy work, the things that don't align with their goals, and they focus on what really matters. For example, when you say no to a task that isn't in your wheelhouse, you're freeing yourself up to focus on projects that align with your strengths. When you say no to a meeting that could have been an email, you're freeing up time for creative thinking or for building relationships with people who will truly move your career forward. Saying no allows you to prioritize the things that move the needle, that help you grow and create real impact. Without boundaries, you're like a ship without a rudder. You're drifting. You're getting pulled in every direction, but you're not moving towards anything meaningful. So let's get into the practical side of things, shall we? How do you start saying no? It's not always easy, especially if you're used to being a yes person or you have a hard time letting others down. But here's the good news. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or rude. It doesn't have to mean you're rejecting someone outright. You can say no in a way that's respectful, kind, and professional. Here are some strategies that you can use to start setting those boundaries. Number 1, be clear about your priorities. Before you can say no, you need to know what's important to you. What are your career goals? What do you want to focus on? If an opportunity or request doesn't align with your priorities, it's an automatic no. Use the yes and technique. Sometimes it's easier to say no if you offer an alternative. For example, you could say, I'm not able to take on that project right now, but I'd be happy to help you find someone who could. This allows you to be helpful without overloading yourself. Number 3, set time limits. When someone asks for your help or for a favor, don't be afraid to set a boundary around the time commitment. You can say something like, I'd love to help, but I only have 30 minutes to spare. Setting clear limits makes it easier to say no when necessary. Here's a big one. Do not apologize for saying no. Saying no does not require an apology. You don't need to explain yourself in great detail. A simple, I'm unable to take this on right now, but thank you for thinking of me. It's clear, it's respectful, and firm. And finally, just practice. Practice saying no. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Start small by saying no to less important requests and work your way up to bigger ones. And over time, you'll get more comfortable with the process. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Saying no can actually open more doors for you. When you say no to tasks that aren't aligned with your goals, you're creating space for the things that truly matter. You're giving yourself time and energy to pursue projects that are more impactful, that are more aligned with your career aspirations, and that help you grow. Let's take a quick example from my career. Early on, I wanted to say yes to everything. Extra tasks, long meetings, projects that didn't really add value. But once I started to say no, I noticed a huge shift. I was able to focus on opportunities that aligned with my goals. I made more time for networking with mentors, building my brand, and taking on leadership roles in projects that pushed me towards my goals. Saying no to the wrong opportunities allows you to say yes to the right ones, the ones that truly move you forward in your career. And after all, isn't that what we all want? So let's be real here. The fear of saying no is real, especially if you're worried about what others think. But here's the thing, yeah? People who respect your boundaries are the ones who will ultimately be your strongest allies in your career. Here's another thing that I learned on my journey. That people who can't respect your no aren't the people you want in your corner. If someone gets upset because you set a boundary, that's their issue, not yours. Successful people understand that time is precious and they don't take all of it. Remember, your time and energy are finite. You cannot give them away to everybody. Protecting your time is an act of self-respect. It's also an act of respect for the people who truly matter in your career. When you start saying no, you'll start attracting more of the right opportunities, more of the right people, and more of the right projects. Your career will become more focused, more aligned, and ultimately more successful. So that's a wrap for today and this episode of the Dream Careers podcast. I hope this episode has helped you realize the true power of saying no, setting boundaries in your career. And remember, saying no doesn't mean you're being difficult. It means you're being strategic. If you're taking control of your time, your energy, and success, that's the first step. If you found this episode helpful, I love if you could share it with someone who could use a little help setting boundaries. And be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Now go out there, set those boundaries, say no, and make your career work for you. I'll catch you in the next episode.